Syaszwani. The title of the first articles that we include in our studies is Developing the Corporate Governance Disclosure Index for Islamic Financial Institution. In these articles, they define the corporate governance, which is CG, as a set of, and the aim of corporate governance is. Next, the theory that has been highlighted in these articles is stewardship theory for developing the corporate governance disclosure index. However, Mills and Keith 2009 said that thus, as stewards, managers of Islamic financial institutions are motivated to work towards achieving the best practice models of corporate governance disclosure. CGD, which is Corporate Governance Disclosure Index, is derived from three prominent guidelines or standards, which are first, second, and third. However, there are also several issues highlighted by BNM's guidelines. Last but not least, CGD index is divided into two themes, which are general governance related information and also specific governance related information.
Okay, thank you Wadi for your explanation about your article. Okay, now we move into my article, which is the determinant of ethical identity disclosure among Malaysia and Bahrain Islamic Bank. Okay, as we know, Islamic Bank is similar to a conventional bank, which their aim is to gain a profit. However, Islamic Bank avoid an interest and another aspect that are prohibited by Islam, which means the character of Islamic Bank is known as having an ethical identity. So, this article is about the determinant of level ethical identity disclosure of Islamic Bank in terms of board size, board independent, Sharia supervisory board, and investment account holder. Okay, the finding of article show that the overall disclosure of ethical identity for both countries is quite low, which is only 51.7%. Okay, so another result show that a positive relationship between board size and voluntary disclosure, which means that the larger board will provide a more voluntary disclosure compared to a smaller board. Therefore, this includes that the most of Islamic bank in Malaysia and Bahrain that have a higher level of disclosure are the bank that having a large board size. Okay, another result also show that there is a no significant relationship between proportion of independent members on board of director with an ethical identity disclosure. This is because most of the independent director in Malaysia and Bahrain Islamic Bank are not really performing their role effectively and competently in monitoring the performance of Islamic Bank. Okay, another result also showed the positive relationship between Sharia Supervisory Board with the ethical identity disclosure in Malaysia and Bahrain Islamic Bank, which means that the existence of Sharia Supervisory Board members may result in greater governance and monitoring the compliance with the Sharia principle by Islamic Bank. This would increase the integrity level of Sharia Supervisory Board and also increase the confidence level of Muslim society, especially Muslim investors toward the Islamic financial institution. Okay, lastly, the result also show a positive significant relationship between an investment account holder with an ethical identity disclosure in Malaysia and Bahrain Islamic Bank, which means that the Islamic Bank need to act as an agent to the investment account holder as well to the shareholder. So this will arise the conflict of interest or agency problem. Therefore, the presence of monitoring from investment account holder may reduce the agency problem and thus influence the management of Islamic bank pertaining to the compliance and disclosure issue. I think that's all from me about this article. Okay, so I will pass to Hidayah.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Hidayah Binti Nurhan, and I'm going to present about my findings in my journal, which is entitled The Disclosure Evaluation of Islamic Banking Reports, which consists of evidence from Middle East and other regions in Asia. So, for the past 2 weeks, we have been digging in the findings in the research compilation. So here we get from internal to external, which is from corporate governance, ethics, financial reporting, CSR, zakat, and so on. So for my journal and article, they more emphasize on Middle East and other regions in Asia. So from my journal's findings, Islamic banks did not have similarity in disclosing financial and non-financial activity. From the figure in the journal, Islamic banks in Bahrain and Qatar seems to follow IOF standards, while Indonesia creates their own financial standards, which called Sharia as FAS. Okay. IOF stands for Accounting and Auditing Organization of Islamic Financial Institution, which it is a not-for-profit organization that was established to maintain and promote Sharia standards for Islamic financial institution, participants, and the overall industry. IOF has gained assuring support for the implementation of its standard, which are now adopted in the Kingdom of Bahrain, Dubai International Financial Center, Jordan, Lebanon, Qatar, Sudan, and Syria. So in Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and South Africa, there are relevant authorities that are responsible, that they have to follow the guideline based on IOF standards and pronouncement, which means they follow the IOF standards. For other states, they have produced financial reports based on the International Financial Reporting Standard, which the acronym is IFRS. Although they still use some local accounting standards that are relevant to their operation. For Bahrain and Indonesian Islamic banks, they are more encouraged their management to follow the Sharia principle, especially in producing financial reports that related to several Islamic contracts and business transactions. So here I can conclude that from the findings in this journal, almost all Islamic banks disclose about the additional of non-financial reports, such as some information that are related to CSR, social responsibility, human resources development, community development activities, and report of Sharia Supervisory Board (SSB). So, from our main topic, which is the importance of disclosure Islamic financial institution and its applicability in the industry. So here is some evidence from the several countries that we get from this journal. So what is the most important to disclosure financial reporting is in the form of accountability, transparency, and responsibility to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala and the society. So other than transparency and responsibility, we also have to disclose to develop an integrity as a financial institution workers in the future. So thank you, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you Hidayah. Now it's my turn to explain to you about the disclosure of Sharia non-compliant income, or in short form called SNCI. So, what is SNCI? We need to know that Sharia non-compliant income is the failure for any Islamic bank, for any Islamic financial institution to meet the obligation and to adhere with the Sharia principle that prescribed in the relevant jurisdiction, that widely accepted in the international standards. So, what happens if this SNCI of these risks occur in our firm? Of course, one of the statement in this article citation said that among the risks that need to be concerned more is the Sharia non-compliant income. Because of what? Because once this happens, then it will impact your bank sustainability and reputational. So it's very important and it's very need to cater much from the risk management or risk department because they are functioning into practicing the full disclosure and also the transparency for this risk, Sharia non-compliant income. So in this paper by Romzi Rosman, Ana Azmi and Siti Amin managed to make a study and comparison between the disclosure practices by Bahrain and Malaysia with 17 Islamic banks chosen in the data collection period from 2013 until 2015. So in the study, they are measuring this disclosure by the SNCI index with the 8 items stated in this article, which is the first, nature of SNCI for both countries, second, the amount of SNCI itself, then the number of Sharia non-compliant occurrence in both countries. The fourth is account classification when happen for this SNCI. The reason for having the SNCI, the Sharia Supervisory Board prediction of necessity of this SNCI, and how both countries by the Islamic Bank dispose this SNCI and strategy to control the SNCI. Okay, the result found out that Bahrain that refer and follow the regulatory standard for IOP is practicing more and highly transparent into disclose their SNCI, which in the accounts classification for both countries, they are classified the SNCI into the charity fund, and thus it follow to dispose the SNCI to the charity. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Noor Syuhadah Binti Arria Affandi. I will continue the presentation on disclosures on items of financial and social reporting index developed for Malaysian Islamic banks. In the findings on these disclosures for items in finance, the information or disclosure on zakat is perceived as crucial to be disclosed by the Islamic banks, and only 25% of the Islamic banks examined in the study do not disclose information regarding zakat in their financial reports. The issue of zakat should not be an alien to the Islamic financial institution, including the Islamic banks. This is because many Islamic financial institutions are involved in zakat activities, either via the zakat funds administration or through paying a portion or percentage of their profits earned for charitable programs and activities. Besides, the disclosure on zakat can also provide information to the shareholders and depositors concerning the amount that they should pay for zakat in the event that the Islamic banks are not required to pay zakat. After that, for the social part, there should be at least an effort made by the Islamic banks to be involved in a sort of contribution by the Islamic Bank to the society in order to enhance and improve their quality of life. In this respect, the information of employees' education and training is considered as essential to be disclosed, since it reflects upon the concern of the Islamic banks on the development of their employees in terms of education and training. Further, the information on charities or gifts provides users regarding the concern of the Islamic banks on the society, both in Malaysia and abroad. Through this information, the stakeholders at Islamic banks will be notified with respect to the contributions, gifts, or charity activities organized by the Islamic banks to the poor or needy nearby or at large. That's all from me. Thank you.
Explanation. I'm honoured with your explanation. Okay, next I will proceed with my finding on the journal of the effect of Board of Directors characteristic on the corporate social responsibility disclosure by Islamic Bank. The aim of the research is to explore the influence of the Board of Directors characteristic on the CSR disclosure by Islamic Bank that operating in Gulf Cooperation Council GCC countries. What is CSR? Have you heard CSR? And I'm pretty sure that you know what is CSR, right? Okay, let me explain what is CSR. CSR is a self-regulating business model that can help company to be socially accountable. And CSR is a broad concept that can take many forms depends on the company. Okay, the CSR program can benefit the society while boosting their brands. Then the CSR activities also can help forge a stronger bonds between employee and the corporation. Based on this journal, they use the cross-sectional data from the annual report of the Islamic Bank GCC countries for the year 2008. They use the regression model to examine the association between the structure of Board of Directors and CSR disclosure level. Okay, there is the regression model. For the finding of the journals, the journal has come up with 3 ways result of their analysis, which are firstly the descriptive statistic, correlation matrix, and the regression analysis for the dependent and independent variable. Okay, based on the 3 ways of their result, they come out the bank size has positive significant effects on CSR disclosure. The larger Islamic bank provide more information because they have more resources such as human capital and larger investment. Furthermore, there is no significant association between the financial performance and CSR disclosure. Last but not least, there are no specific reason why Islamic bank that operating in country that have a larger Muslim population would provide more CSR information compared to the Islamic bank that operating in the country in the lower Muslim population. Okay, for your information, Islamic bank must follow and comply the Sharia principles and rules in whichever country they are operating. It is because to avoid any prohibited activities or illegal activities and illegal dividends to their shareholders. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.